We just witnessed the greatest 4x400-meter race in history, in my opinion. I know there's been faster times, but in terms of an actual race where the United States doesn't just smash everyone, I'm talking about real competition with a fast time too, guys. This was competitive and it was fast. And it was in the Olympics, greatest stage you can imagine in the modern era. So this honestly has to be the best race, and I'm going to tell you why. So first, I think Botswana could have won this race, in my opinion, because the first two legs Botswana was doing great. They were winning. The first two legs were doing great, and the United States kept up with them. A great leg by Vernon Norwood. I honestly think he can go under 44 if he does one more open this year and starts off the blocks really good because he has that consistency. So those two guys did really well for the United States. And coming into the third leg, in my opinion, was the game changer, was the deciding factor because Rai Benjamin and Letsila Tebogo, the anchors, they cancel each other out. So think about it like that. The third leg of the Botswana messed it up and killed the chances for Olympic gold because they were in the lead. They got the stick first, but Bryce Edmond made the game-winning move when he took it out really hard the first 60 meters and overtook Great Britain and Botswana. Great Britain and Botswana slept. They slept on this move because what they should have done is ran hard the first 80 meters or the first 100, the first curve, and made Bryce Edmond run an extra at least 8 meters in lane 2. That would have been so significant. It wouldn't have changed the result for Great Britain because they were way far back in third place. But in terms of Botswana versus the United States, that would have made the deciding factor because by the time the third leg was ending, Bryce Edmond was dying and the Botswana guy was closing in on him within like 5 meters by the handoff. So once they handed it off to Rai Benjamin and Letsila Tebogo right at the same time, with Rai Benjamin having like a 2 or 3 meter lead. And if they would have just ran hard the first 100 in that third leg, Botswana, those 3 meters would have been accounted for with Bryce Edmond running that extra distance that he should have ran, but he didn't because he did a perfect move on Botswana. So now let's talk about the fourth leg. The fourth leg, it was Rai Benjamin, 400-meter hurdle Olympic champion versus Letsila Tebogo, 200-meter champion, 1946. Could have ran 19.4 flat if he finished the race. One of the greatest champions in modern era. These are not typical Olympic champions. These are one of the fastest men in their respective events ever. Letsila Tebogo, 4th fastest of all time. Rai Benjamin, 2nd fastest of all time in their respective events. So these guys have speed. They're not the tactical guys. So where was I saying? I just got a message. Oh, yeah. So they got the handoff, right? Rai Benjamin, I know he's in the shape of his life. So, in my opinion, this race was going to be won by the United States barely but when the fourth leg started. And Rai Benjamin is in the shape of his life. I knew he wasn't going to get chased down. The only way I saw Botswana winning at this point is if Letsila Tebogo went 100% and did something special. And I'm like, all right, perfect. I like this situation because for once, we're not going to see Letsila Tebogo start flaunting with 2 meters at the end and making us think what he could have ran. So we're forced to see Letsila Tebogo go 100% out against a worthy opponent in Rai Benjamin. And Rai Benjamin was taking it out down the backstretch, coasting, running fast but coasting. And Letsila Tebogo was just there, maintaining the distance. He was ready to make a move. Now I'm thinking to myself, man, Letsila Tebogo, I know he can stay with Rai Benjamin, but he needs to get closer so when the time comes to make a move, he will make Rai Benjamin react to his move, not the other way around, because then he will get a step on Rai Benjamin and then bet on their speed. But that's not what happened. Rai Benjamin coming off the 300-meter mark, he was ahead, and he made the move first, in my opinion, just by a slight margin. And Letsila Tebogo responded really good. He started closing the gap on Rai Benjamin, guys. Think about it. Letsila Tebogo, the 200, 100-meter guy, who can also run a 300 world record and a 400, really good one, but mostly known as a short sprinter, was chasing down and closing the distance on the 400-meter hurdle, Olympic champion, 2nd fastest man of all time, ran 46 over the hurdles. Letsila Tebogo was closing down on him, and he's only 21, guys. Guys, think about this guy's potential. He's already one of the fastest men ever in his championship uh, championship event. In a few years, he's going to take over. Or might as well next year, in my opinion, he's going to take over. But he was closing down on Rai Benjamin, and by the finish line, he was about half a meter behind Rai Benjamin. At the 100-meter mark before the finish line, he was about a full meter or 3/4 of a meter behind Rai Benjamin. So Botswana fumbled the bag on this one. They could have won this event, and I think they'll be back next year to go for gold. But even if they ran the perfect race next year, I still don't think they'll win gold if the United States is healthy next year. Because think about this. The United States broke the Olympic record with Chris Bailey on the first leg and Bryce Steadman on the third leg. Bryce Steadman's a really good 400-meter guy, 40-42 this year. So he's not a scrub. He's beyond respectable. He's like a really good leg. But the United States has Michael Norman, and I know he's choked so hard this Olympics. But when Michael Norton's healthy, I don't think anyone beats him. And he's just never healthy now. But imagine if they had a relatively healthy Michael Norman, 90% Michael Norman, right? 43-4 guy, 43-6. He's run a 43-05 split in college. So imagine a healthy Michael Norman and a reigning, defending, healthy Olympic champion Quincy Hall. Guys, if they would have had those two guys on the relay today, Botswana, as good as they are, they're not even in the frame. The United States wins this relay by at least 2.5 seconds, in my opinion, if the world champion Michael Norman and Olympic champion Quincy Hall are in this relay healthy. But I'm glad it didn't go like that because we got one of the craziest finishes, craziest 4x4s with the fast time ever. I just want to say thank goodness for Botswana coming up and giving the United States a challenge, and one hell of a performance by the United States A/B team, maintaining the title and honestly setting a new record. Did not expect that. So yeah, one hell of a race, guys.